Hey everybody, Terry with the Drone Cav here. Welcome to another exciting episode talking about drones, some things that might not be drones, but kind of extensions to drones, aerial photography, cinematography, all that kind of stuff. But I hope everybody's being safe, being well, enjoying your May, your first week of May. Can you believe it's already a week deep into May? It is, believe it or not. But I want to kick off this episode with the announcement and congratulations to our major winner of our prize. If you remember a couple weeks ago, I announced a little giveaway. Um, and that was based on questions, and we would select someone that's sending questions and to win this super, super special, one of a kind, never find this again award anywhere. And I got some great questions, some great feedback. I always love hearing from you guys and talking about drones and photography and cinematography and all those things. So still, throw questions at me. Talk to me. Talk. Contact me. My email address will be at the end. Anyway, I know you're dying to know who it is, so I'm going to drag it out a little bit. If you remember, the prize was for this brand new, last of its kind, embroidered Black Dog Drone Ops t-shirt, extra large, burgundy collar, still in the plastic. No more of these left. This is it. And boy, I pulled this out of the archives and didn't really want to let go of it. But hey, the winner's a winner. And the winner is the lucky winner. And by the way, when I ship this out, it will be coming marked fragile too. So be very careful with it and wear it with pride. Show it off. Black Dog Drone Ops, part of the Romero Picture Tender Brigade. Anyway, okay, I've dragged that out long enough. Our winner is Sean Smithson, and Sean is fantastic. I appreciate your questions, and I appreciate all the questions and feedback from everybody. Again, keep it coming. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you guys with your drone stuff, from flying drones and using the cameras and regulatory, getting your FAA 107 certificate. There's a lot of stuff to know about this, and don't take things for granted. And that's what I'm here for. I'm your encyclopedia. So ping me. Anyway, Sean, congratulations. Sean, if you don't know already, has Smithson Creations, handcrafted woodworking, does some amazing woodworking as well. You may have seen some of his laser etchings posted on social media, on Facebook and such. So anyway, Sean, wear it with good health, and I'm happy for you being the winner. So anyway, and I always say this, and I always say this, but I'm saying it again. Fun episode. We are going to have fun today. We're not talking necessarily about drones, but we're talking about something that can be done with drones or ground-based cameras. It's pretty popular either way. Lapses. What are lapses? Well, I'm sure you know what a time-lapse shot is. You've seen a million of them where things just kind of speed by, whatever it is. Well, there are other forms of lapses as well, or this lapse shooting. And with cameras and software, firmware, camera quality, all these things getting better and more powerful is putting the ability to get these really cool shots in your hands much easier than ever before. I mean, it used to be you had to shoot a bunch of pictures, throw it into your editing software, stitch it together, mess with it, tweak it. You can still do that, but things have gotten to the point where you don't have to do that to get a really good shot. I mean, it depends on what your needs are, but you can get some cool stuff pretty easily. Now, if you remember a few weeks ago, I introduced this guy. I don't know how well you can see it. It's a little handheld 3-axis gimbal camera called an Osmo Pocket by a company called DJI, one of the leading drone manufacturers in the world. And this guy is so tiny, it literally fits in your pocket. That's a good name for it, his pocket. Little accessory I just popped off the bottom is a Wi-Fi adapter, so it'll broadcast out to your phone or your iPad or whatever you're using for your control device, because it does have a little tiny screen here. But I'm not going to rehash that episode. I went into a lot of detail about the Osmo Pocket. But key things to keep in mind. It does have a 3-axis stabilized gimbal, which is good if you're moving, and that it can also move. Okay, well, how's that come into play here? Let's get back to the lapses. Talked about the time lapse. Now, time lapse, if you think about it, would be a camera in a fixed position while the world goes by. And an example I was hoping to shoot for you today was clouds rolling by. That's always a nice shot to get. You fix the camera, aim it at the sky. As the clouds roll by, it takes a shot intermittently, whatever, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever you decide. And you stitch all those photos together to create a video, a clip there, as you see the clouds whip by. Really cool. All right. And that still has a place, but again, expanding and going further. Not sure if you've heard of a motion lapse. Well, motion lapse is very similar to that, but here's where we think about the term axis. An axis is a point, a fixed point that, say, the camera moves around, pans, tilts, does whatever, but is on an axis. Okay, now think back to that time lapse. You have the camera pointed at the sky, the clouds are whipping by, that's cool. How cool would it be if you could take it a step further and have the camera slowly pan across the sky as the clouds whip by? So you're kind of following the clouds. You're sort of chasing the clouds. Now again, I'm just using clouds as an example. It can be a million different things. It can be wherever you want. It can be traffic. It can be people walking through streets or whatever. So whatever your scene is, the camera will follow, but the camera doesn't actually move in space. It stays or in location. It stays fixed where it is, but having the gimbal with the movable axis, the camera can be programmed to follow at a certain rate, or again, move at a certain rate. Again, whether that you want that to be a tilt, if you want it to be a pan, whatever, but that rate can differ from the frame rate or the motion of whatever you're capturing. So that creates kind of a neat feel. It adds some dynamic to that shot. All right, what if you want to get really crazy? Okay, time lapse is great, motion lapse is really great. How do you knock it out of the park? Well, another really cool thing that we can do now is called hyperlapse. Okay, well, how does that differ? Again, time lapse, camera's fixed. Camera's not doing anything. It's just sitting there waiting for things to go past. Motion lapse, the camera turns as things go past. Hyperlapse, the camera is actually moving through space while it's shooting at the time intervals to create the speed of the image, but also the camera is changing the dynamic as it pulls you through the scene. So I'm going to shoot 3 examples of that today. We're going to take a little look at the camera setup, things like that. But for the most part, we're just going to have 3 short clips here that I'm going to shoot. Now keep in mind, you will invest some time to shoot these things depending on how your frequency of the frame shot is. So if you're shooting one image every 2 seconds, every 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever, that's going to vary the effect that you have. One thing I will say, and this is sort of you can file this under tip, trick, note, whatever, shooting at real low intervals like 2 seconds or even maybe 3 seconds, but after you get past 4 or 5 seconds, it smooths out a bit. Your image tends to be a little busy. And again, there's a place for it, there's a purpose for it, so you may need that. But just keep in mind, the shorter the interval between your shots, the more kind of choppy it's going to be. It's going to be a very busy shot, and you're not going to see that much smoothness between the shots. I like to shoot about 5-second intervals. It tends to give it enough movement. It's still kind of fast. It's not real slow and real dreamy. But again, dreamy is a good word. If you want to have that sort of floating feeling, expand your interval out. Go 8 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever. You can really stretch that out. So that's just going to slow down the motion of your final effect. So anyway, going to do this with the Osmo Pocket. Now, before we go out and start shooting, keep in mind, you can do this with your drone. You can take your drones out, and many drones have these features built into their software as well. But the thing with a drone versus a ground-based camera, obviously one flies, one does not. Well, what does that mean? Well, the flying one is using a lot of battery. This one, of course, is battery powered, but you don't have to worry about the engines conking out on this one. It runs out of battery. So if you're going to be investing 30 minutes or so in getting this shot, you want to think about your drone, because if your drone only has a 30-minute battery, and that's kind of stretching it. I mean, there are some coming out that have more battery. You don't want to push that to the limit. So you're going to get shorter shots generally with the drone because it's going to be in the air. Again, it's getting some really cool aerial shots, but they're going to be shorter. So you really want to think about your shot. You want to practice it. You want to get some experience in before you go out to get something that really, is mission critical. So again, spend some time with that. With this guy, if the battery runs out, no big deal. You just go plug it back into the charger. It's not going to fall out of the sky and crash and hurt somebody or destroy a multi-$1,000 drone. So again, tip, trick thing. So anyway, I've yacked enough. We're going to go out and do some shooting and show you a few examples. Again, any questions, any info, just want to talk about this stuff, let me know. Okay, before we take a look at the clips, I wanted to just show you the camera settings here. And I'm in the DJI Osmo Mimo app that is the companion app for the Osmo Pocket. So anyway, we're just kind of taking a quick look here. If you notice at the far right, you'll see a list of items. It's set on photo now. We have pano for on panoramas, video, some other things, slow motion. We're going to go down here to time lapse. Now, again, pretty self-explanatory. It'll do a time lapse with a camera sitting in a fixed spot with everything moving by. But notice up at the very top, you see this little black bar with a bunch of numbers in it. I'm going to give that a tap. Now that opens up some controls to do the motion lapse. Now, it's kind of funny, weird, whatever. They didn't put a motion lapse option over in that menu on the right, but here's where it is. It's built in here, even though it doesn't say motion lapse anywhere. So there's a few things to take a look at here. When I tap that, another bigger black bar popped down below, and to the far left, it has interval. Now this is where you'll set your interval between shots that are taken. Remember, like I said, 2 seconds, 3 seconds are going to be a little busy. And you can adjust that on up to how many ever seconds you like. 5 or 6 seconds are kind of one of my favorites. But again, there's always a purpose for having a busier, faster shot like that. So I'm not like saying it's a bad thing, but it's just something to be aware of. Now next over to the right is duration. That's how long it's going to take shots for you. So if you need a certain duration, say 10 or 15 or 20 seconds of footage, this is how that'll be determined. Now, little trick here, something that sort of sneaks up on you. Refer back up to that black bar at the very top, and the number over at the far right will tell you how many seconds of footage you're going to end up with. So if we're shooting intervals at 5 seconds and we let it go for 30 minutes, it's going to give us 12 seconds of final product. Now this is the cool thing for the motion lapse. Remember, the motion lapse, the camera still doesn't move from its location, but the camera head itself, the gimbal, moves. And that's where we set the path. So we'll tap that. Now we're going to set our first point. So if we want it to follow a path, say left to right, we use our joystick control down here. And that'll be our first point, our starting point. Tap the blue plus sign there in that box. Then we'll move to our ending point. Say we want to come all the way up here to the clown. That would be our ending point. We'll tap that. We could set more if we wanted to, but don't really need to. So if we're ready to go with that, we tap that red button at the right, and that starts the operation. And then you just sit back and let it do its thing for 30 minutes, and it'll end up with your completed product then. Now we're going to go down one more option there on the right side in that menu to Hyperlapse. A lot less to do with Hyperlapse because it pretty much manages this for you. All you do is you select Hyperlapse, hit the red button, and take off moving. Remember, Hyperlapse is where the camera is moving in space. So that would be if you're holding the camera, if you have it mounted to your backpack strap or another device mounted in your car, whatever, you're going to move the camera through space. That would be your Hyperlapse, and it's going to take intermittent shots and create a different type, a deeper, more immersive type of a lapse shot. So anyway, that's kind of a quick look at the camera settings. So now let's take a look at some of those clips.